How's it going, everybody? Today I'd like to talk about the Nissan Leaf versus other electrified vehicles. Now, I say electrified vehicles because I don't want to say EVs, because that might, some people might think I'm discluding the Volt, or like the BMW i3 Rex. Which I'm not. That's why I say electrified vehicles, because I consider those to be electrified vehicles. They are EVs, but they're not technically EVs because they have the range extenders, gasoline engine. They involve oil in some regard. So I just say electrified vehicles, and that way that can include the Prius and other hybrids as well. So how does the Leaf compare against those vehicles? What's the whole mindset when you have those vehicles versus this vehicle? Well, first off, let me say that with the Nissan Leaf, the whole thing about like batteries and the cost of ownership, that comes into play quite a bit more. It's not totally all-consuming, but it does come to your thoughts a little bit more than it would with a vehicle like, let's say, the Volt. Because, see, the Volt, if the battery goes dead, you can still use the range extender, the gasoline engine. I believe the Volt has a typical General Motors inline four-cylinder 2.5 or something like that liter engine. So the way that the Volt is designed, you can actually use either or, but I don't know that it can run without the electrified side of it being fully operational. I don't know that because I don't have a Volt. I don't know. So, and I haven't looked into the Volt that much, just because I don't know that I'm ever going to be able to get a chance to own one. But anyway, so the Volt, you're always going to have that gasoline engine. So after 5 years or 10 years, if your battery capacity whittles down to the point where you're getting like 10 miles out of that part of the car, the electrified part of the car, you're not worried, because you know you're going to have that range extender gasoline engine to pick up the slack. But with a Leaf, you don't have that. So you maybe are thinking a little bit more about, okay, I'm going to need a battery replacement here in the next 2 years, or maybe it's a cold day and you're only getting 50 miles, 40 miles, maybe even 30 miles after the car is about 5 years old, on a cold day, on a real cold day here in the Midwest, or in the Northeast, or somewhere like Montana, when temperatures are close to 0 degrees Fahrenheit. You could expect that kind of realistic. Chicago is like that. Real bad. But anyway, so that battery costs are a big kind of thing in your brain with the Nissan Leaf. But also, I would say, like the Prius, that's only got 1.2, I think it's 1.2 or 1.5, I'm going to say 1.2 kilowatt hour nickel metal hydride battery pack. So with the Prius, it's just like not even a big deal if the battery goes dead over time, because that's only going to be a kilowatt hour, a little over a kilowatt hour, so it doesn't cost as much to replace. Versus look at the Nissan Leaf, that's 24 kilowatt hours that you've got to replace. So yeah, that's a big time expense. And then the Volt, I think, is only about 15 kilowatt hours, I think. 15, or I think they upped it to 18 in the latest generation. Or maybe a little higher, I think. I'm not sure exactly. I gotta do more research on the Volt. But, so then the BMW i3 Rex version, that's a similar circumstance, because that's a pretty big battery. That's got a battery about the size of the Leaf. So that's not a bad deal. The Rex version anyway. But, then you're talking replacement of that whole battery. But, at least you've got the Rex to back you up. So if you don't have the money, let's say, or you're trying to save up money for like a year to try to afford this lithium-ion battery pack, then at least you can do that because you've got the Rex to back you up, the range extender. You can still drive the car. Whereas the Leaf, and once your range is whittled down, you're pretty much out of luck. You're going to be stuck with 20, 30 miles until you can afford to buy a new battery pack. But hopefully time will bring those economies of scale down, and your price will drop per kilowatt hour. You'll be able to get a better battery, hopefully. But yeah, I think the whole mindset about battery size and cost is the bigger the battery, the more money it's going to cost. Despite Moore's Law, which has not quite taken effect the way that Silicon Valley economists have predicted, which I had hoped it would, but it hasn't quite done what we'd hoped it would do. But yeah, I do know that once the Tesla, what do they call that? The big factory that they're building out in Nevada. Once they can get that up and running, I'm hoping that will bring down battery costs. So then one day in the future, people will be able to get an affordable electric car where the battery is not the whole thing. I would think a battery should cost no more than $1,000 when it's all said and done. When they've got an electric car that can go 300 miles, 400 miles on a charge, I would hope that the battery would cost no more than $1,000, because then it would be directly comparable to like a transmission on a gas car, or maybe a whole new engine, like a crate engine or something. We'll eventually get there, though. We'll eventually. I know with the Toyota Prius, now they're using the latest generation. I think it's the fourth or fifth. I think it's the fifth generation, the latest one that's out now. It actually uses lithium-ion batteries, and you can get a version, I believe, with the old nickel metal hydride that they've been using. Toyota's been using the nickel metal hydride, which I would honestly say the nickel metal hydride is a better quality battery. It can go through thousands of charge and discharge cycles, whereas the lithium-ion batteries, not so much. They can go through thousands, but they wear out, and they wear out based off of time and usage. Nickel metal hydride only really wears out based off of charge and discharge cycles. So that's quite a bit different than lithium-ion. So nickel metal hydride is not also affected very much by temperature, not as much as lithium-ion. Lithium-ion, I forgot to mention, lithium-ion will wear out by heat as well. Cold doesn't have very much effect on lithium-ion batteries, oddly enough. I've said previously, my battery in this 2014 Nissan Leaf is still got all of its capacity bars, and I think there's 12 of them. Yeah, 12, and they're all still there. I'm still seeing on a full charge that when I boot up the Nissan Leaf in the morning, it's still showing me that I can get range above 100 miles. Now that is what it got the day I pulled it in from leasing it from the dealer over 2 years ago. But I would say, I'm not worried about that. But once you get down into the hot climates like California, Arizona, Nevada, Florida, Georgia, then you're going to start worrying about cost versus battery life. That's going to be something prominent. But yeah, I would say, like, I know for like the Toyota Prius, if you don't have a working battery, if it's reached the end of its usable lifespan, you cannot use the car at all. It will not allow you to use it. So it totally disables itself. Check engine lights. There'll be a little caution triangle that'll come on. They call it the master triangle or something like that. And it'll just come on, and you will not be able to. You'll have reduced power output if you're driving the car when it fails, and you will not be able to use the Toyota Prius. So I know, but that's a smaller battery, so the cost is not that high. You might be able to get away with 2,000, maybe 2 or 3,000 for a replacement Prius battery. But for the Leaf, Nissan has publicly released that it is 55. I think it's 5,500 or 5,550 for a replacement pack, and that includes a core charge, meaning that you have to give your pack to them in exchange for the new battery. That's not negotiable. All right, thanks a lot, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe, and then I'll just keep I'll bring the videos for you. All right, thank you very much. Bye bye.